In this episode, we'll be discussing some of the most relevant characteristics when it comes to racket customization. The weight, the balance, and the swing weight. Just like the grip, which we discussed in our previous episode, these characteristics are easily modifiable and can change the overall feel of your racket. Hi, I'm Seb Proisy, and thanks to tennis majors in all our videos, you can find out everything there is to know about tennis equipment. We'll tell you what the pros use to be at their best, and what you should use to have the most fun and win the most matches. We'll be testing all the rackets, all the shoes, and everything else a tennis player needs throughout the year. And all our tests will be conducted in a completely independent manner. Weight and balance are measured when the racket is still or not moving. The weight is pretty easy to measure and simply requires a scale. Jewelry pocket scales are especially good because they are precise to the milligram. Balance is a little trickier and requires a balance board to precisely determine the balance of your racket. To be clear, the balance of a racket refers to the distance in millimeters between the bottom of the racket and its balance point. So if a racket has a balance of 320 millimeters, that means the balance point is located 32 centimeters from the bottom of the racket. Competitive rackets usually have a balance between 300 millimeters and 340 millimeters. The closer it is to 30 centimeters, the more the racket is considered handle heavy. And the closer it is to 34 centimeters, the more it's considered head heavy. Swing weight is measured when a racket is in movement. It tells us how light or how heavy a racket feels during the swing. It is clear that both weight and balance affect swing weight. However, swing weight is not simply a product of weight and balance because it also takes into consideration weight distribution. In other words, two similar rackets with the same weight and the same balance might not have the same swing weights due to weight distribution. Swing weight is measured in grams and requires the use of a swing weight machine to measure accurately. When a professional racket customizer is trying to match rackets to make them feel more similar, the swing weight and the weight are the most important criteria, followed by the balance. But aren't rackets of the same model supposed to feel exactly the same? Well, the answer is no.
I can't believe this!
Most manufacturers have a margin for error for weight and for balance. For weight, it's between 5 and 7 grams, which means you could have a racket that's 7 grams heavier than the stated weight, and one that's 7 grams lighter. For balance, the margin for error is generally 7 millimeters. Most of the time, this margin for error is usually printed on the racket. So why is all this technical talk so important when you're actually playing tennis? Well, the most obvious answer is that those characteristics will tremendously affect power and racket maneuverability. Between rackets weighing the same weight, the racket with the highest swing weight will provide you with more power, but it will also be less maneuverable than the rackets with lower swing weights. That's of course when all other things are equal. So while adding weight to your racket can be a good option, it's important to first make sure the rackets have the same swing weight, and ideally the same balance before you start adding weight. Once you know your rackets are similar, it's time to decide where to add your weight. Adding weight below the balance point, so towards the grip of the racket, will change the weight and the balance, but the swing weight will not change, or barely. However, adding weight above the balance point will increase the swing weight. And the closer the weight is added to the top of the racket, that's the hoop, the more dramatically the swing weight will increase. So if you're adding 2 grams of lead tape to the 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock spots of a racket with a swing weight of 300 grams, you'll increase that swing weight to about 302 grams. If you're adding those same 2 grams to the 12 o'clock spot on your racket, which is the highest spot, you'll increase the swing weight to about 307 grams. Professional players all have customized rackets to satisfy their individual needs. Some players, like Roger Federer, are even known to change the weight distribution of the racket in between tournaments, depending on the service and other things like weather conditions. At the French Open, where the courts are slower and he usually wants to play with more spin, he uses a slightly more head-heavy racket. At Wimbledon, where the courts are faster, his racket is more handle-heavy. If you too want to find out how weight distribution can affect your game, you should definitely try this type of racket customization. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you can like and share, and even better, subscribe to our channel. For my part, I'll see you next time. Ouais, passe.